If you've ever sat opening oysters in search of pearls, you'll know what a frustrating exercise it really is. You end up with a pile of rotting oysters and no pearls. On the rare occasion when you do manage to find a pearl, chances are it will be flawed or misshapen. Paspaley Pearls of Australia, the world's largest producer of cultured pearls, estimates your chances of finding a natural pearl in the wild at fewer than 1 in 50,000. The Japanese realized a long time ago that pearls were the result of a process, and if you want to control the result, all you have to do is define and control the relevant process for predictable, desirable results. So they created the cultured pearl industry in the first half of the 20th century. The only real difference between a cultured pearl and a natural pearl is that one is the result of a random, uncontrolled process, an accident if you like, while the other is the result of a deliberately controlled process by design. Other than that, the process is identical. The oyster begins coating a tiny pebble or other irritant with nacre, a tough, smooth substance that it creates internally, and continues coating it until it no longer irritates the oyster. From our own point of view, the relevance lies in the different motives for opening the oyster in the first place. Pearl fishers open an oyster for the first time in the hope of finding a pearl. It's difficult and dangerous, even life-threatening, with a very low success rate. In fact, 1 in every 50,000 oysters has a pearl of jewellery quality. So quality is also low, and they're almost always in danger and suffer constant disappointment. On the other hand, the cultured pearl farmer opens the oyster for the first time to begin a process, to initiate a relationship, if you like, that will produce a predictable, desirable result. All it takes is a clear vision, time, effort, and self-discipline, the classic 4 cornerstones of success. There's almost no risk, and if they do happen to find the occasional pearl when they open an oyster for the first time, well, it's a bonus. But they understand that time, effort, and discipline are necessary to realize their vision of success. As a consequence, they focus on low-risk processes with a high success rate. In cultured pearls, 1 in 50 oysters produces a jewellery quality pearl, not 1 in 50,000. They enjoy consistently high quality and safe, successful, high returns. These diametrically opposite perspectives are reflected in the motives, attitudes and behaviour of the two groups, and in their lifestyles and definitely in their stress levels. The lesson to be learned from this principle is simple but powerful. Instead of putting a result ahead of the relationship that produces it in our priorities, with all of the attendant risks of damaging that productive relationship, focus instead on maintaining, enhancing and protecting that relationship so that continuing results are assured. Even if no immediate result is obtainable, it's still worth investing the time, effort and discipline in the long run to realize that accurate vision. 2 of the secrets of Japan's phenomenal commercial success have been the ability of its business leaders to think long-term. 10 to 25 years ahead is typical, and to form highly productive and mutually profitable relationships, particularly strategic business alliances. In purely practical terms, it means regarding every prospective customer, every inquirer, even the nuisances, as an oyster, not as a pearl. So initiate the relationship, then find ways to get under their skin in positive, desirable ways. Eventually they'll turn themselves into pearls and present themselves to you ready to buy. But if you expect instant results and are prepared to burn prospective customers in order to close them, you'll get exactly what you deserve from this particularly lethal form of terminal stupidity, which I often refer to as suicide selling. Despite its widespread use in most countries and cultures, it actually takes one of 2 forms of ritual self-destruction that were originally part of Japanese culture. Ironically though, suicide selling is rarely practiced in Japan. First is kamikaze selling, where the seller deliberately crashes and burns through any buyer resistance they meet, but they destroy the relationship that produced that initial sale. thereby destroying all hope of any future sales or referrals from that customer. Second is harakiri or seppuku selling, where the seller commits ritual suicide using the death by 1,000 cuts, inflicting yet another slice to their own belly with every deceptive, pushy, manipulative action or word. This is slower and more painful than the kamikaze method and requires a higher degree of delusional thinking and self-justification, but the outcome's the same. They kill off the relationship that could produce more sales and referrals. The real problem for the suicide seller is that it's the relationship that dies, not their intended victims. They actually live on, and the statistics are brutal. Every dissatisfied customer will tell an average of 11 other people about you and what you did to them, and each of those 11 people will tell an average of 6 other people. After that it drops off because it's just hearsay. But that's a total of 67 people who will now never buy from you. And yes, that's real leverage, but it's lunatic leverage. Occasionally in live seminars and workshops, people ask me which of the principles of success is the most important. While all of the principles are essential to your lasting success, this is the one I regard as the most central and pivotal of them all. It actually encapsulates nearly all of the other principles. Once you've examined all of the principles and perspectives in our training program, have a look at how many you can identify that are captured within the Oyster Principle. So, let's summarize the Oyster Principle in simple, practical steps you can use in your own marketing and selling. Step 1. Identify and define the desired result that you want. Step 2. Identify and define the cause and effect relationship or process that will produce it. Step 3. Focus on that process, the barriers, the keys and the actions particularly. Step 4. The result will take care of itself.